Xi Jinping is talking about fighting corruption within the Chinese Communist Party, and he claims to have won an overwhelming victory. But that's just not true. From the very founding of the Chinese Communist Party in 1921, it was based on corruption. Essentially, you had a group of thugs whose plan was to kill rich people and take their stuff, and then take over the country. Mao Zedong talked about using the lumping proletariat for his revolution. That refers to the social outcasts, especially criminals, including members of triads and secret criminal societies. Mao wrote in 1926 that the lumpen proletariat can become a revolutionary force if given proper guidance. And guidance he gave. Mao specifically used the lumpen proletariat to fight his communist revolution. Who else but criminals would be more willing to kill rich people and take their stuff? And when the Communist Party finally came to power in 1949, guess what kind of people were high-ranking party members? A lot of them were criminals. Even today, there's a tight affiliation between the Communist Party and triads. Check out our interview today on our China Unscripted podcast, where our guest Sam Cooper talks about party-linked triads running drugs and money laundering in Canada. The Chinese Communist Party is basically what you get when you get a group of gangsters to take over an entire country. They control gang members. They lock away so-called enemies. They take over other people's territory, and they fight constant internal power struggles. Violence and corruption are how the Communist Party stays in power. That's why I said Xi Jinping can never truly eliminate corruption in the Chinese Communist Party. But that's not his real goal anyway. His real motive behind winning a victory over corruption is winning a victory over his political enemies. For example, former leader Jiang Zemin. Jiang Zemin's son, Jiang Mianheng, is a powerful businessman. He has his fingers in everything from state-owned enterprises to joint ventures. In 2012, the Hollywood company DreamWorks Animation began a joint venture in China called Oriental DreamWorks to create animated and live-action entertainment for the China market. DreamWorks partnered with two Chinese companies plus Shanghai Alliance Investment, which is an investment arm of the Shanghai municipal government. Jiang Mianheng was chairman and CEO of Shanghai Alliance Investment, meaning the son of Xi Jinping's biggest rival had a stake in a $300+ million company controlling media and entertainment in China. Side note, that American joint venture was eventually bought out completely by a Chinese company, once it was no longer useful to have the Americans on board. Anyway, the list goes on. The son of former President Hu Jintao, Hu Haifeng, once managed a state-controlled firm that held a monopoly on security scanners used in China's airports, shipping ports, and subway stations. Former Chongqing Party chief Bo Xilai, who got taken down by an internal power struggle in 2012, had his own network of family corruption, with at least $160 million in assets held by his close relatives. Basically, communist officials from top to bottom are out to make money, and they often do it through corruption. That includes installing their relatives in companies poised to make money with the help of their party contacts. The brilliant thing about Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign is it's actually a powerful weapon he can use to go after his political enemies, while having the plus side of making it look like he's going after corruption. But it's selective. Xi Jinping never sought corruption charges against his ally, former Premier Wen Jiabao. Wen's family members were worth hundreds of millions of dollars, often through corruption, as you can see from this New York Times graphic. But with his friend, Wen Jiabao, that's okay. So for all my viewers in the West reading these glowing articles about Xi Jinping fighting corruption, don't be fooled. Xi Jinping is not really targeting corruption. He's just struggling against his political enemies, like a good communist.